The future of hi-fi is way smaller than you think.
It smells good, just as good.
If you asked your dad what hi-fi looked like and you looked at the rack, you would probably see a 100-pound silver-faced giant box. And your dad's stereo was the size of a piece of furniture. But today, well, you can hold your hi-fi in your hand, run it off of a USB cable, and it's cheaper than a night out at Applebee's. Well, if you're taking like your kid's soccer team to Applebee's. When did hi-fi go from furniture-sized monstrosities to sandwich-sized? Well, we're gonna find out today. Because I'm sure the question on everybody's mind is, well, can we take these little things seriously? Or are they just gonna be more e-waste next to your
mostly fossilized
gateway computer in the trash? Let's find out, because it's complicated. Sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about the future of hi-fi being way smaller than you think it is. However, before we start the video, we're raising some money for breast cancer this month. Me and Audio Advice. Check this out.
I'm Scott Noon. I'm the CEO of Audio Advice. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 36 years old.
And I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man. And my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer this year. That's why I'm thrilled to be teaming up with Audio Advice to support this wonderful cause.
We're raising money for families with mothers battling cancer through the Helene Foundation. You'll see a link in the description that goes to a raffle page where we have tens of thousands of dollars of really cool headphones, speakers, projectors, you name it. And then Randy and I are going to do a live stream on October 30th where we're going to give it all away.
The sad reality is that we all know someone that has battled breast cancer. And this is your opportunity to make an impact on real people's lives. Whether you can give a little or a lot, you're going to make a difference.
Magnavox has long been recognized as the industry leader in console cabinet beauty and quality construction.
All right, here we go. 1950s to the 1960s, well, stereo music was coming out of a console. It's like a small wooden coffin for your turntable and AM radio. Brands like Magnavox, Zenith, Fisher. They built furniture.
It's all in one.
With speakers glued inside and tube amps that were highly dangerous and flammable.
Tube amp stereo system. And
it wasn't a hobby. It was a centerpiece. And frankly, it was what everybody needed to get, you know, news and entertainment. It became a bit of a status symbol. Like a $100,000 Ford F-150 that's more likely to see a valet than a rusty cord knife and a spilled bag of soybeans, which was my childhood. But technology evolves fast. And soon, people wanted power, flexibility, and so began the rise of separate components. Stereo receiver became quite a big deal. Marantz, Pioneer, Sansui, Yamaha. Now you had an AM and FM tuner, phono stage, all sorts of yummy goodness, all in a box. Later would come the monster receivers. The Pioneer 1980, Marantz 2500, 70 plus pounds. Enough legitimate wattage to power not only your hi-fi cabin, but also your hi-fi yurt and sweat lodge. Look at the size of this thing. This is my Kenwood Model 9G2. It doesn't even fit on a rack. It looks like an orange on a toothpick. You get extra points if you know what movie that reference is from. You didn't just buy one of these monster receivers, you adopted it, and you had to have a crane deliver it, and then you needed to go to the chiropractor.
My back! Oh, my back!
Now the size of your receiver was the flex. Big receiver equals big sound, equals big wallet, equals you're getting your big ego stroked. But then something happened.
This is Pioneer Home Theater, the world's leading AV receivers. Home theater so advanced, you don't just watch it.
This was the dark time when home theater was a thing, and now there's home theater multi-channel receivers. 5, 7,
Dolby 6.9
channels. They started out somewhat reasonable, then they got bigger too, and taller. The biggest problem though is, well, they all looked exactly the same. Now, we had the option of listening to 7 speakers, but nobody calibrated it correctly. So engineers found a loophole to make things a little bit smaller, a little bit cheaper, a little bit simpler.
Right, then the entire thing's one big heat sink. Perfect.
Large transformers for Class AB amplifiers, well, they got traded out for Class D? What is that? Switching power supplies and stuff? Well, it was more efficient. It didn't get as hot. But most importantly, it was a lot smaller. And the heat sinks were now the size of Pop-Tarts.
Oh, right, then the entire thing's one big heat sink. Perfect.
Which I highly recommend the cinnamon ones. They're delicious. Companies like Hypex, Ice Power, Purify, audiophile grade power, and little boards. Then the floodgates opened, and you had everybody chasing the Class D Dragon. Super cheap stuff from Fozzy Audio, IEMA, SMSL, Topping. Now you had amplifiers that can fit in the palm of your hand, and power supplies that were literally bigger than the amplifier itself. You got the power without the pain in your back.
My back.
Except you had to deal with this thing. However, there was a problem. What was the problem? Well, I'm glad you asked. Most of it sounded like garbage. Complete and utter garbage. Sterile, thin, analytical. You know what cheap CD players sounded like in the 1980s. But it was small, it was light, it was cheap to make, and way cheaper to ship. And with Amazon and globalization and companies copying other people's designs, you get some of these for $99.
$100.
And now your amplifier truly was cheaper than a night out at Applebee's. Congratulations, you now cut out the middleman and the warranty.
I live in an apartment so small.
While some homes were getting bigger, others were getting smaller. And a lot of people were still living in apartments. And most people are streaming from a phone. Fewer racks, fewer outlets, fewer angry spouses. Especially in Europe, compact systems started to become a thing, and it wasn't just the, well, direct-to-customer import stuff.
$100.
The name Unity Atom, the Cambridge Evo 75 and 150, RuArc, all non-traditional sizes. Not too big, not too small. It was the Goldilocks of hi-fi sizing. So, with everything getting smaller,
It smells good, it's just as good.
what does hi-fi even look like now? The good news is, just because things have gotten smaller doesn't mean it sounds bad anymore. It kind of sounded bad early on. As the small Class D stuff kind of sounded bad. But now you have the Weem Ultra. You have this thing, which is the Cambridge Audio MX70, which provides 70 watts of really good power. That sounds really good. And just so happens to be nearly the same size as the Weem Ultra. So it looks real nice. Actually, this is the MXW70. Has balanced inputs and everything. My point is, not only affordable stuff was, well, getting smaller, but high-end stuff was also getting smaller. The Cambridge Evo 150 SE, not traditional size. The RuArc R410, also not traditional size. Some people call it half rack gear because, you know, it picks up half a rack. But with Rotel, NAD, Cambridge making smaller, higher end stuff, and also really cool looking, it almost feels like high-end hi-fi went on Ozempic. So how do we define hi-fi at this point? Because this stuff is looking more like a router than a receiver. Hi-fi used to mean racks, wires, LEDs, warm, glowy stuff. But now, fewer boxes, integration,
it's all in one.
more brains. All-in-one integrated streaming amplifiers. One box, just hook up your speakers, pull up Spotify, beam it right to your integrated amplifier, and you're gonna be rocking and rolling in no time. Let Pete Townsend's love open your hi-fi door to your ears. And maybe it's not a bad thing. So is the future of hi-fi smaller than you think? Maybe. It depends on when you grew up. Maybe hi-fi has always been this size if you just got into it. But it's personal. And the cool thing with better technology, Class D amplification that actually sounds good now, integration, of streaming platforms, screens. It is super cool, and it doesn't have to be super huge. It doesn't have to be super intrusive. You still want to flex, but you can get big components. Macintosh is still making them, and most other hi-fi companies are still making them. But for a small subsection of our hi-fi royalty, they're playing around with little stuff, and it sounds really cool. And they're doing stuff with their own design. Maybe the future of hi-fi is subtle. But what do I think personally? Hi-fi used to dominate your room. Now it just fits in our life. Smaller doesn't mean less serious, it means more accessible to more people living in different sized homes or apartments.
I live in an apartment so small.
It's more efficient, and for most of us, more realistic. Like this. Just kidding. That's a vintage realistic receiver. The golden age of hi-fi isn't over. It just got downsized. Went on Ozempic. So, from 100-pound monsters to palm-sized marvels, the future of hi-fi is getting smarter and smaller and a little bit easier on your back.
My back. Oh, my back.
If you like this video, why don't you check out this video about why we are in the golden age of hi-fi right now. It's not the 70s, it's the 2020s. I'll link that right here. I'll link another video up here about, I don't know, history of Macintosh. Something like that. Thank you so much for watching.
$100.
It smells good. It's just as good.
Tube amp, stereo system, and
Right, then the entire thing's one big heat sink. Perfect.